So it's again the end of December. Instruo follows tradition and releases another update to their VCV collection. There are a few new modules added. The collection is available for free in VCV Rack, and all of the modules are available in hardware, of course. I want to show you quickly a few examples with some of the new modules, and in the near future I will publish also dedicated videos about the different modules. And I want to start with the Cruinn oscillator, which is basically 6 saw waves, and you can add phase modulation to 5 of them and create interesting textures and lots of movement. I have it here going through the IO47 filter, right? It has also dedicated level control. And now I can add modulation depth, and you can see the movement here. Here we have the 5 lights, which represent the 5 oscillators you add modulation to, or 5 waves. And here we have the rate of modulation. Right, and like this you can add lots and lots of movement. And again, it has a dedicated level control and a VCA. There is also a CV input for the level, right? So if I use, for example, an external envelope, here I have size or sace, right? I can really play this voice. Right, now this oscillator is also stereo, so the waves will be panned also left and right, and again, thanks to all of the movement, you get a huge sound. In this case, it's going to the stereo filter from Surge. Oh yeah. So this oscillator is also stereo, and it also comes with an expander. Also in hardware there is an expander module, a 4HP expander, as you can see here. In VCV Rack you just have to place it on the right of the module, and you get access to all 6 oscillators, or all 6 waves, right? You have the alpha one, which is the static one, and then you have 5 additional waves that you can modulate from within the module, or you can have external CV modulating their phase, and you can already think about all of the different possibilities you have with this access to the CV inputs. And it can also act as an LFO, right? So basically you get 6 different LFOs with lots of movement. You can see this here on the scope. Right, so here I have another Cruinn with another expander. This is the fun thing about VCV Rack. You can just have as many Cruinns that you like. Right, so I have here 3 waves being mixed with a tri filter with lots of movement coming from another Cruinn as an LFO. Right, and also here you can add more movement or less movement. Another new module is the Cnoc function generator, which will generate functions. It will generate envelopes. Basically, we have different modes. We have attack and release. We have attack, sustain, and release. And we have also looping. So it can also loop and cycle, right? Just like other function generators, you can change the wave shape. Right, and of course the attack and the release. There is end of cycle, an end of cycle output. There is a gate output that you can select to get from the attack or from the release. Right, so it's a really lovely small function generator. Of course, function generators are great for sorts of CREL patches or generative patches. Right, so here I have looping Cnoc, and the end of cycle is triggering 2 sample and holds, also from Instruo, which are in turn modulating, adding movement to the attack and the release. So we get With each cycle, we get a different function, a different length of function, a different envelope, right? The sample and hold is also generating pitch information, which is then sequencing and modulating the Cruinn, right? Which will sound like this. And I can make this slower. Quicker. Right, so you can use also Cnoc, and of course also many of them in VCV Rack, to create all sorts of different generative patches. And you can also create sorts of ping-pong envelopes. If you have two of them in hardware or in VCV Rack, again, you can add as many as you want, or as many as your CPU allows you. Right, you can have ping-pong envelopes, right? You have the end of cycle of one envelope triggering the second envelope, which is in turn triggering the first envelope, right? So if I now trigger one, as you can see, they will trigger each other. Here I have two different filters, so we get sort of a stereo field action, right? And I can get all sorts of different rhythms. And we have also Carn, which is quite an interesting mixer because each of its channels is unique. So the first channel is, or for the first channel, we have voltage controlled panning. Of course, we have also stereo out. The second channel is a VCA. The third channel is a ring modulator. And the fourth one is a cross fader, right? So of course, this can be great for mixing different oscillators and creating interesting textures and a new sound, basically, right? So here I have Neoni, I have Cruinn, and I have Psych being mixed, right? They are all going to Carn, right, to the first three channels. And then I have another Cruinn here as an LFO modulating, right, the different channels. So the first one will be modulate the panning, right, and the two and 3 will be modulate the amplitude, right? So if I bring this in, listen to this lovely sound. It has of course lots of reverb, right, and it's playing a chord that I have here with Harmonic. Right, so again, you can like this mix different signals and manipulate them in different ways thanks to the unique channels. And of course, this mixer can also be DC coupled also in hardware. So it's also great to create unique modulation sources. Here I'm mixing sample and hold with the sample and hold from Instruo. I have here Oct, LFO, and I have a looping function with Cnoc, and you can see the result here on the scope. Right, and then this is modulating the IO47, the filter, and it's also being used together with sample and hold, another sample and hold, to create pitch information, right? So it will sound like this. The voice itself, of course, is another Cruinn. Here I have an example for a synth voice. I will put a link in the description to where you can download it if you want to use it or experiment with it even further. Basically, it's built out of two layers. The first layer is Cruinn, going through plateau, going through a reverb, from there to a distortion. If you follow my channel, you know that I like sending reverbs into distortion. Right, this is the first layer. The second layer is Psych and Oni being mixed with Carn. I have also panning modulation here coming from Oct, and anyway, Oct is sending modulation everywhere, adding movement. This is being mixed in stereo and going through the stereo filter from Surge, and I have two Cnocs here adding more movement and some delay. I can play this voice with my keyboard and control it with a MIDI controller. You can also use a sequencer if you want. Basically, it will sound like this. Right, so it's a lovely synth voice that you can play with or sequence. Thank you again, Instruo, for making this all available for free. Go install this update, have fun, experiment. Cheers.